Hello, thank you for being here today with us for the press conference of Na Hong-Jin's Hope. I'm going to introduce who's with us today. Let's start. Sorry. Oh. Let's start by Taylor Russell. That's it. Round of applause, please. Thank you. Oyon. Just hello. Zoe Sun. Just right. Wang Junbin. Alicia Vikander. And Michael Fassbender. And of course, last but not least, director Na Hong-Jin. So, of course, before giving you, the chance to ask questions, I just have one quick question for Mr. Na Hong-Jin, of course. I would like to know how did you get the idea and the desire, to make an alien invasion film?
처음에는 범죄를 이제 어떻게 한번 해볼 수 있을까 이런 고민들을 하다가 그 전작과는 어떻게 좀 다르게 만들어 볼까 하다가 고민을 하다가
would be different, however, from my preceding films. I gave a lot of thought to the
얘기가
matter.
우주까지 가게 된 것 같아요. 그러니까 사람이 그리고 또 우리가 왜
And that's when I started
범죄를 저지르고 또 왜
to think about
폭력이
the universe as a
발생하며
whole.
그 외에 다양한 어떤 사회 속의 문제가
People indulge in
발생하는가
violence,
뭐
there
이런
are
원인이
wars,
뭘까
there are all
고민하다
sorts of
보니
societal problems which appear. And
곡성에서
so I wondered how all this
뭐 종교적인
had
뭐
come to
그런
be.
지점까지
And in
갔다면
my film,
이번에는
The
우주까지 갔던 것
Strangers,
같습니다.
I talked a lot about religion.
그래서 우주까지 가다 보니
And here I talk
자연스럽게
much more
외계인이
about the
나왔던 것 같고,
universe.
예.
And when you refer
그게
to
아마
the
이 영화의
universe, you obviously
시작이었다고
refer to
생각합니다.
extraterrestrial beings, aliens, and that was the beginning of the film.
Sorry, I just forgot, but we have the team of Hope with us. We have on the front row Mr. Michael Abels, winner of Pulitzer Prize for music. He's the composer of the film. Thank you. We have producer Kim Se-mi, producer Kim Se-rom, EP Ong Jong-jin, co-EP Kim Eugene, and co-producer Daniel Son. Thank you so much. Okay, we have a question.
Mine here. Hi, question from Brazil, Rodrigo Fonseca, Correio da Manhã. I think for everyone who loves science fiction, Hope is not a film, it's a dream come true. So thank you very much for that. The action scenes are absolutely amazing, and I would like to understand how you performed that, how much of choreography, rehearsal you did to create that. Thank you very much.
원시적인 영화이길 바랬습니다.
I wanted it to be a sort of a primitive film, not a contemporary film,
전통적이고
a traditional film,
아주 오래전에 본 듯한 그런 액션
like a
장면들이
film
되길
you might
바랬어요.
have seen a long, long time ago,
그걸
a
하려면
classic.
뭐 물론
And to this end,
CGI로 만들어진 크리처가 등장하는 영화이긴 한데
of course,
어울리지 않게 그런
I had to
배우들의
use
연기를
special
담아내고
effects.
싶었던 거죠. 그런 장면들을 만들어내고 싶었고
I wanted, however, the acting to be very
그걸 위해서는
authentic
이제
and
배우분들의
conventional.
어떤 아주 난이도 높은 연기, 뭐
So I needed top quality actors
위험성 높은 액션 연기 뭐 이런 것들이 동반이 되어야 했는데
because there were going to be a lot of very dangerous
제가
action
우리
scenes.
배우분들을 잘 설득시키고 잘 속이고
I managed to
잘
convince
유인해냈던
them,
것 같습니다.
to trick them, and that's what happened.
사실 숲속의 장면을 찍을 때
In fact, you know, for the scene in the forest, the actor, So In-sung, had been operated on his knee, and right at the beginning, in the contract, he said that it would be difficult for him to run in the film. So I said, okay, no problem. You're never going to have to run in the film. And then, of course, he ran throughout the film. But in any event, I'd like to say that it's really a film that was made by the actors. Without them, I could never have made this film.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Allô? C'est bon, on m'entend? Moyen? Morgan. Hi, I'm Leila from The Independent. I second what you say. The actors were amazing, and thank you very much for the cinema. It's a real cinema film, and it feels good. There's no way we can watch it elsewhere than in a dark room. So thank you for that. And I realized it took you 48 minutes, I think it was 48 minutes, to reveal the monster. So for 48 minutes, we're in a massive race, the whole film. I've never seen a film where there's a race from the first minute to the last. And then it keeps us really halting because there's a lot of humor in this film. There's so many genres. I mean, it's we don't know where it's coming from. Whatever you're eating, I want to have the same. But this film mixes so many genres, and in the end, humor is what I kept with. I stayed with the humor, even though I don't speak Korean. I felt like I understood everything in the original language, which is really strange for me. It means you really touched upon something that's beyond the world, indeed, and outside in the universe. Do you think that if we were to have aliens coming to Earth, they would be so funny and would teach us something like maybe these ones will?
저한테 왜 그러세요?
Why are you asking me this question?
혹시 우리 영화 속의 외계인들이 지구를 침공한 것으로 이해하고 계신지요?
If aliens, well, you think aliens really invade the Earth in the film?
외계인 역할을 맡으신
The answer is maybe it's better if Michael and Alicia and Taylor, who are the aliens, maybe it's better if they give you the answer. Is that okay with you? Michael, over to you.
They're already amongst us. I don't know. I mean, can we learn something from, I guess? It depends. I don't know. It's quite interesting in the last couple of years that there's a lot of talk about, the American government, I believe, releasing sort of stuff that pilots have captured and, unidentifiable flying objects, but they're called something else now. So it is in the media a lot at the moment. And you always wonder, what's that about? Hopefully, we could learn something from them. Hopefully, they wouldn't be aggressive, but I don't know really how to answer it. I think in our case, it's just, I think what's interesting about the aliens and what is sort of would be comparable to humans is they want the same things, which is just protecting their young. And it's sort of all down to that, protecting the future of their young, which we all do as well. So I guess the similarities between us and the aliens is what we look at in this film. Alicia?
Hello everyone, this is Xin Xu from China, and marvelous film, congratulations. And my question goes to director NA Hong-Jin about the ending of this film, which makes me feel like this film is a part of a huge and more ambitious project of more things. So could you share more details about your conceptual design of the film, or will there be a sequel in the future? Thank you.
디자인과 관련해서 뭐 이것도
When it comes to the design,
약간 레트로하게 준비하고 싶었고요. 그래서
I wanted things to look a bit old-fashioned.
긴 시간 동안 계속 작업을 해왔던 것
I
같습니다.
worked with a lot of designers for
그래서
quite a long
결국
time.
너무 많은 디자인들을
And in the
뽑아내다가
end,
뭐 이게 최선의 디자인을
so many
뽑아낸 건지 아닌지
designs
구분할 수 없는 지경에 다다랐을 때
that I don't really know whether I was right to choose the design you saw in the film amongst so many other possibilities. What was the question?
후속작. 예. 후속작은
yes.
이 영화는 짐작할 수 있죠. 이후의 이야기를.
When you watch this film, I think you can readily imagine a sequel.
만들고 싶은데
And there is a story, there's a script that's already been written and I'd like to shoot. So if I have the opportunity, I will indeed make a sequel,
그럼에도 불구하고
if possible.
지금 이 호프의 어떤 결말이 저는
For the time
완벽한
being, though,
완결성을 지니고
the
있다고
end of
생각을
the
해요.
film, I think
그 대가로
the film is sufficient in itself.
이제 위기에 처해져 있긴 한데
The ensuing storyline will perhaps have to be modified a bit, but in any event, I would indeed like to film a sequel.
이거 내 건데.
Thank you. This is Journey from SNET21, a South Korean film magazine. My question is for the director Na Hong-Jin. Yesterday, while people watched the film, audiences started to scream and give a big applaud when Jung Ho-yeon appeared for the first time in the movie. So, how did you feel when you saw this moment, and did you intend it? Thank you.
저는 기분 좋았죠. 당연히 좋았죠. 근데 이 질문 또한 우리 성의 역을 연기하신 정호연 씨한테 어땠는지 여쭤봐도 좋을까요? 감사합니다.
이게 제 첫 영화여서 그리고 또 이렇게까지
As it's my first
역사가
film,
깊은 극장에서 처음으로 제 얼굴을 크게 보게
be
됐는데
screened in
사실
this
아직까지도 이게
historical
어떤 감정인지 뭔가 말로
room
설명하기
with
좀
these
힘든
close-ups
것
of
같아요.
faces. I was
되게
overwhelmed with
복잡하고
emotion. I find it hard to
지금도
describe.
그렇고 끝나고 나서 들었던
It's hard to
생각은
put words to things.
감독님에게 너무
Even now,
감사하다. 정말
After the film,
정말 열심히
the only thing I thought was that I was so very grateful towards the director, and I'm very, very grateful indeed that this film was made.
Hi, Anthony D'Alessandro from Deadline Hollywood. Michael, Alicia, and Taylor.
Can you please stand up?
It's hard.
Oh, okay.
Computer's
sorry.
going to go everywhere.
Yeah, sure.
Why did you decide? This is such. It's so fascinating that you're in this film. Why did you do it? And did you go full on method?
Yes. we just came out of it a year ago. We've been doing Aliens for a while. No, well, my first ever film festival that I went to internationally was Busan. I was about 21, and I stayed there. I was by myself with the film, and I stayed there for a few days, and I just kind of fell in love with Asian cinema. And a few years later, I saw Chaser, and then I saw The Yellow Sea, and then I saw The Wailing when it came out, and I was utterly blown away. And then I actually had a friend of mine, another actor, we had a script that we had been looking at, and I told him that there was this one man that I kind of dreamed who could do it, and I mentioned Hong-Jin Na, and then we actually dared to reach out thinking that he would probably not even get back to us, but he came on board and we developed for a bit, and then in a very gentle manner he came back and he said, so I have this very big kind of sci-fi action adventure that I've had for 10 years, and it looks like people are going to give me some money to do it. And, we were obviously, sad, but also understood that he was going to go and do this big film. But then he reached out, I don't know, 2-3 years later and said, I have some aliens. and I was intrigued. And I didn't think. I said yes. I think Dr. Na is incredible, such a visionary, and I felt very honored to be part of his film.
Okay. Alicia told me to do it.
He listens to me.
Alicia also told me to do it. Thank you, Alicia.
I'm very
but on a serious note, being able to work, the dream is to be able to work in a different country on foreign to me, language films, and to work with an auteur, and director Na is an auteur who makes incredible cinema, and it is kind of beyond a dream to think of. I wouldn't even cast myself in any of his films because it feels inconceivable. So when the call came, you made me laugh the entire time I talked to you. So I thought it's going to be a very fun ride, but it's just a no-brainer. It's a joy to work with director Na and everybody here, and it would be great to do more Korean films and maybe speak some Korean as well in the future.
I think what's kind of interesting about the filmmaking of director Na as well is you just don't know what's going to come next. I think, used to sort of Western cinema, even though, films are of very high quality and great films, you kind of have an idea what the trajectory is going to be, where it's going. Whereas with him, he's mixing genres. At the beginning, it's sort of like kind of comedy, it can be kind of absurd, and then it becomes very real. And it's just that sort of blending of different genres, that feeling of the unexpected, I think, can be quite rare in a cinematic experience, and I think he's a master at that.
I have this quick question for actors Wang Jung-min and Zo In-sung. Of course, So-yeon, you can answer, but I would like to know, for your part, what was physically the experience of shooting this film? Because actually, when we see the film, we know that it's a very demanding film physically. I don't know who wants to answer first. Mr. Wang Jung-min, maybe.
아무튼 이 영화를 가지고 여러분들과 같이 얘기를 나눌 수 있다는 것 자체로도 저한테는 영광이고 정말 행복한 시간인 것 같습니다.
Talking about this film with you is something which deeply moves me. I'm very pleased to be here today.
그 개념은 아니었고요. 그러니까
I don't know whether I can really talk about a physically difficult film.
처음 해보는 입장에서 최고의 상상력을 끌어내서
Acting was very original. It's something I'd never done before. I had to use my imagination and look to see what my reaction would be to this unknown creature, the energy and so on. I really had to imagine all these things. And it's within this overall frame.
그거보다 더 많은 뛰든 안 뛰든 간에 충분히 더 뛸 수 있는 에너지가
that I had to really react. Run or not, well, that was just part of the performance. I can't say it was difficult for me or really demanding.
만약에 사람이었으면 힘들었겠죠. 중간에 서서 잠깐 그
Had it been a real person, I think it would have been difficult.
쫓아오니라고 얘기를 할 수
At a
있는데
given moment in time, I would have had to speak out and say, well, stop running after him if it had been a real person. But as it's an unknown creature,
작업을 했던 것 같습니다.
it was just a lot of fun and very playful.
네, 물리적으로 굉장히 힘든 촬영이라고 느껴지실 수는 있겠지만
It was, you think it was quite physically demanding for us, but to create something new, I think you have to have a lot of courage. We all were courageous, participating in the film. The idea was to create new images. The idea was to put our talent in the service of the vision of the director. It was psychologically more difficult than physically, because we really wanted to convey what we had in our innermost depths. We wanted to convey this strong will to survive, the survival instinct, and I think that was what was most difficult.
육체적인 이제 디맨딩에 관해서 얘기를 하셨어서 물론
The actual acting was quite physical. There were lots of action scenes with cars and firearms. For me, that was something totally new. I was a little bit scared to start with. However, the director and even the whole of the team, the crew, had prepared everything very well during the pre-production phase. And I now realize well, I participated in the pre-production for 5 or 6 months to learn how to drive a car and use the firearms. In all the films I've done, I don't think pre-production had lasted for such a long time. The director, right at the outset, wanted this kind of energy during the actual shooting. I think I really was able to enjoy the atmosphere to the hilt. As to my fear, I remember Alicia said to me at one point, instead of being scared, you need to portray the fun side, the playful side of all these new things. And Hwang Jung-min also said to me, just go ahead and do it. So all the difficult scenes, I was able to handle them thanks to all this very good advice.
Hi, I'm Rick de Graaf from the Telegraaf in the Netherlands. Thank you very much for an insane movie experience yesterday night. It was in all the right ways. I was wondering, because there are so many seeds planted during the movie, and especially at the end, which seemed like there was like a lore behind it. Maybe like a roadmap, and this is like the tip of the iceberg. Especially for Na Hong-Jin, this question.
그럴 것 같죠. 이제 이야기의 바통이 누구에게 넘어갈지 짐작이 될 거고.
Now we'll see how the baton will change hands.
어떻게 펼쳐질지 이제.
The story will unwind in different ways, and I'm sure you can readily imagine it. I prepared this storyline in my head, but in the film, we're just at the very beginning. It's really the beginning of the beginning of another story.
이 독립된 작품으로서 그 마지막 씬이 갖는 그런 느낌들.
This film, for me, is a film in its own right.
이런 어떤 이 영화는 세상 속의 어떤 문제,
For me, the film really talks about the problems of violence, contemporary phenomena, everything that's bad in the world, and why do all these phenomena exist and continue to exist. So for me, this is a film which thinks a lot about the parlous state of the world. This acquires big proportions, and I wonder whether this could acquire the same huge proportions as you see in the film. It's truly a question I wonder about all the time.
우주에 대한 얘기를 한다고 했지만
Can this kind of thing really exist?
종교적인 어떤 개념의 어떤 바람 혹은 희망, 생각들을 갖게 되지 않을까?
Maybe there's a kind of faith,
이런 생각도
religious or
해보면서
otherwise,
신이었던 것 같습니다.
which will help us.
근데
And
그것이
these are things that I thought
추락을 하고
about
있다라는 게
in various
또
scenes.
다른 또 은유일 것 같았고요. 그래서 그런 장면을 만들어.
But the fact you have this vessel which falls out of the sky, it really shows how things stand.
I was wondering if you guys could talk about a little bit about the dialect you guys use on the film and how hard it is to actually, rehearse it and actually say it the way your director wants you to say it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I remember one of my first meetings I had with director Na, and he put forward the idea that he wanted us to, speak in an alien language. And if I remember correctly, you had hired 2 linguists who had made, a totally new whole language based on ancient Mongolian, I think. I guess for me, I have already, in the beginning of my career, it was a huge step, I think, for a lot of years, just, learning how to, work in a language that is not your mother tongue was one step. And I think, obviously, the kind of repetitive hours of just practicing lines, is on a different level than maybe just learning accents. But when you get to do that, it also helps yourself to, step away from yourself and find a character and let your imagination and your kind of inspiration become bigger. So I think that given the chance to learn this language definitely made me find maybe a different voice, hear myself, kind of picturing myself being something other, and therefore I thought it was, if I knew I was already going to play an alien. I've seen some photos with my long arms and my neck, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go all the way, and I think the language was very much part of creating this creature.
Yeah, I think it was actually, quite easy. It's just we had all the tools, so we were given recordings of the dialogue, recording slowly so you can get each sort of syllable and word right, and then the recording of it as it would naturally flow, and then it's just listen and repeat. And actually watching the film last night, I was like, wow, we had it easy. These guys were, did all the heavy lifting. So actually, it was the easiest part of it. Just, we had plenty of time to prep it before we got out to Korea. Just listening, repeating. Then I think, when we were on set, the tricky thing was then, how do they move? Getting the physicality. But like I say, these guys did all the heavy lifting. It was really impressive to see last night.
Hi, 안녕하세요. Charles Delaunay from France. My question is for Mr. Na Hong-Jin. You work with a new music composer this time. So my question is, I'd like to know how and maybe why this collaboration came to be. Is it based on the amazing work of Michael Robles on Jordan Peele movies? And maybe we can hear a few words from him. Thank you.
일단 감독님의 그 전작들에 나오는 음악을 너무 좋아하고 있었고요.
I had already seen films in which he was involved, and I really liked his work. During the shooting, there's a sort of a parallel instant editing on the spot. So when we're shooting the film, we edit at the same time. We started the editing, including various parts of the music, to try to see what the atmosphere would be like. And at a given point in time, there was just the music from the composer. So I said to myself,
그래서 함께 그것에 너무
I started
감사하게도
to ask my producers
승낙을 해주셨고 그래서 함께 할
to
수
ask
있었는데요.
whether he could participate in the film.
진심으로
And it was great because he said yes, and I have tremendous respect for him.
그런
He
분이셨던 것 같아요. 많이 배웠고요.
is virtually a master, an instructor for me. He taught me so much. He helped me no end.
선물해 주셨다고
And he created
이 자리에 나와 계십니다.
something really huge in the film, and he's here with us. Thank you very much.
Yes. Hello, this is Antonio Peris for Miradas de Cine, Spain. For Mr. NA Hong-Jin, you've offered us two excellent thrillers, amazing horror movie, and now enjoyable, highly enjoyable sci-fi. What's your favorite genre? Where do you feel more comfortable? Where are you heading from now on? Thank you.
스릴러 좋아합니다. 근데 재밌는 오컬트
I love thrillers
그래서
and occult science films.
뭐 호프를 찍는데
It was lots of fun. When I shot one of my previous films, as to Hope, I thought the film was perhaps too nice.
너무 착한 일이다라는 생각을 매일 해가면서 촬영을 했던 것 같습니다. 예.
Too nice to shoot it in this way.
지금 피가 그립네요.
Really?
예.
There's a question here.
Hi. Oh, shit. Hi, sorry. Hi, Michael. Hi, Alicia. I don't know the rest of you, but I'm just wondering if the director could say why he wanted to cast Michael and Alicia, the two actors for the price of one, maybe, or, but I mean in terms of getting a package, a married couple and everything, and why did you want to cast them in this film, basically? And how did it go? Was the concept for two English language speakers originally?
저죠. 아니에요. 한 분씩 다 어렵게 모신 겁니다.
No, not at all. I invited them one by one. I did everything I could to persuade them.
아니, 정말 그런 거 아니에요. 각각의 최선을 다했습니다. 왜 이분들을 모셨냐면 아까도 말씀드렸지만
Why did I want them in my film? As I was saying earlier on,
이 영화의 플롯을 이 정도로
the plot
실제 이 영화의 내러티브는
was a bit shortened in this film.
더 큽니다.
Initially, the storyline was much lengthier.
이 서사에서 매우 중요한 역할을
The
맡은
story was much longer.
지금 보신 오프에서는
And in this narrative, we have they're very important people. They're very important characters. It's true that in this film,
굉장히 중요한 역할을 맡고 있지만
the three Korean actors play a very important part.
이 조르 역할을 맡은 알리시아와
They appear, their faces appear for a long time on the screen. Alicia and Michael, Joe and Manvio, and then of course Taylor as well.
밑도 끝도 없이 진행되고
All these three characters
그런 큰 미래가
really have their own world.
희망에 이분들을 진짜 적극적으로 설득을 시켰던 거고요.
I sort of hoped I could create a whole world around them. That's why I convinced them to work with me. But no, it wasn't a package in any way.
제가 제일 좋아하는 배우 중에 한 분이 마이크라고 꼭 한번 해보고 싶었어요. 그래가지고 진짜
One of the actors I love and I admire most is Michael. So I really wanted to work with him.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Malloy. I represent That Shelf from Canada. This is my first time at Cannes, so apologies if this question fumbles out a little bit. I absolutely loved the film. I had a blast. But what surprised me is that this was not the film that myself and many other critics were expecting. based off of your previous work, we all thought this was going to be a slow burn procedural drama / thriller. But what we found was a high-octane action thriller akin to Mad Max Fury Road. What motivated you to switch directions and go into the action genre?
앞서 말씀드린 그런 고민을 하다 보니 우주까지 가서 그렇게
As I said earlier on,
왔다.
I gave a lot of thought to the matter, and things acquired proportions which ended up encompassing the whole universe.
그냥 단순한 액션이라고 생각을 하지 않았어요.
I didn't think it was going to be a pure action film.
스릴러?
I think basically that it's a thriller
촬영을 했습니다. 근데 찍다 보니까
rather than an action film.
액션이 재밌더라고요. 그래서 좀
During the shooting,
처음에
the action scenes were something I really enjoyed. And I did think of making a thriller, but when I looked at things during the editing, I thought, oh, well, maybe it is an action film. That was a bit disturbing for me. But I'm not going to continue doing just any old thing like now.
Hello, my name is Ayako Ishizu for Korea, Japan, and thank you for the great films. I enjoyed really. And my question is for the director Na Hong-Jin and Korean actors like Fan Jong-min, Cho In-sun, and Ho Yeon-si, because I think the atmosphere throughout the films was like 1980s, and also the seeing like the truck loaded weapons with the civilians and of course the police. It reminds me of the Gwangju uprising of the Korean history in 1980. So for the director, so is there any reflected in that uprising in that film? And what do you think about the actors about that scene? Thank you.
없었습니다.
No, not at all.
없었는데 뭐 이유를 없는 이유를 설명할 수는 없잖아요.
No, there was no reference of that kind, so I can't really say anything about it. There was no reference to this event in history.
배경보다는
We
공간에
didn't have this reference either.
편입니다. 이
It's
공간에서 이루 호포항
that we focused much more on the space, the village, the port, the little community, the village inhabitants, everything that happens in this little village. We thought about that much more than the past.
다른 말씀을 드리자면 미술 감독님하고 이 장소를 어떻게 구현을 하면 좋겠는가라는 얘기를
The set designer who I worked with a lot, well, we talked together for a long time to be able to create this space. As it's a space that doesn't exist. We said to each other that it might be better to begin with a real set.
그래서 이제 저희는 다른 곳에서 촬영을 하고 있고.
So we decided
미술 감독님과 미술팀이
to work outside.
이제 세팅을 하기 시작했죠.
The set designer and his team started to decorate an existing village, whereas we had gone abroad for the scenes in the forest for 2 or 3 months. I hadn't been able, therefore, to see the Korean village. When I got back, I realized that the village had been completely destroyed. It was total chaos. I was a bit worried, and I thought, well, how come the village is so totally destroyed, even if we're talking about aliens? But it was too late. That was the way things were, and we had to shoot the film. So when you look at the film, when you watch it, sometimes you may have the impression that we're changing the space, that the scenes change a bit, move from one thing to another.
좋은 어떤 효과가 나게 된 계기였던 것 같아요.
Perhaps, however, this lent something special to the film.
Thank you so much for being here, and please round of applause for the team of Hope. Thank you so much.
감사합니다.